Hi everyone, this is Niladri, and today we are going to go through the solutions for the midterm assessment which we had. We had a question set of 50, and I will just go through the questions one by one and share the solutions with you. All right, so let's dive in. So we had a set of 50 questions. This was the set, if you recall. Let me just solve them. And if you have not tried them, I will always say that go ahead and try them first. If it needs to go back to your book or the study material or the training session, please do that. That will always ensure that you know the answer or you have tried for the answer, and then probably come back to this particular training to have a check what the correct answers are. Okay, so let's start with the first one. A project is a endeavor undertaken to create a product, service, or result. This is basically the definition of project, right? A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Pretty simple one. If you know the definition, okay, it's going to expire. It looks like that's okay. Let me just, oh, for some reason it just went off. So if you know the definition of project, that itself will help you to gain a couple of points in the exam. Okay. Um, Organization are of three types: functional, projectized, and matrix. Yes, that's true. Okay. Uh, Project management office are of three types. So what are those three? We have got supportive, controlling, and directive. There is nothing called a operative. Okay. Project manager is selected in which stage? Definitely the easy one. It's in the initiation stage. Now you will see that in the exam, you may not be getting so simple and straightforward questions, right? But the intent here is that you have got a very good knowledge about the fundamentals, the basics, and that will help you to crack a little bit more tougher questions or complicated questions. Um, and the intention is that you should be so thorough in the knowledge areas that these kind of like questions can be done by you within seconds, not within minutes. Okay, you should reach to that level where this 50 questions can probably be done in maybe 50 minutes maximum, not beyond that. Though I've given you a time frame of 2 hours to do that, but that's just like thinking that you don't get like too much time to revise and all that. But I will always say that try to keep like 50 minutes and then slowly come down. The 50 questions can be done probably in 15-20 minutes, not more than that. They're all simple, easy, very basic questions. Um, in projectized type of organization, project team members have no home. True or false? Well, in the projectized type of org, the project team members have no home because once the project is over, then they have to be plugged into some other project, right? So this is true. Which PMO has low level of control? Like which project management office has the low level of control? So supportive, controlling, and directive. Even if you don't remember, just by the literal meaning of the word, say controlling and the directive, they both look like some control is there, right? Some kind of control is there. So supportive is the lowest level of control. A few of them are marked. That's due to I think, the cookies in the browser. So which is an input to develop project charter? It's always business case. Okay. Now, business case will include which of the following? Business need, proposed solution, expected value of the change, tangible and intangible cost, and benefits of the proposed solution. All of them. Okay. Be pretty much thorough with what exactly is a business case and what exactly is a project charter. Business case is the input to a project charter, right? So know what is the content of a business case and what is the content of a project charter. In fact, I have shared with you in the beginning, I think the first, third, or the fourth lesson where we have spoken about the project charter, and I've asked you guys to go ahead and kind of do a assignment where you are writing a business case on your own and writing a project charter on your own. If you write a business case and a project charter on your own, you will definitely remember that for a very long time. Okay. Project sponsor is a key stakeholder, of course, yes. Okay. A project will not exist without a project charter. This is a nice one. Um, Yes, in PMP terms, we always say that uh, if a project exists, then there must be a project charter. That may not be true in the real world. In the real world, for all the projects that you are doing, it may not have a project charter. Okay, but in PMP world, yes, a project charter is a must for a project to exist. True. Project charter contains which of the following? Project title and description. Yes, I will say to that. Project manager assigned. Yes, the PM's name, the PM is being assigned in the project charter. All right. Then project sponsor, of course, yes, and the project sponsor has to sign off the project charter as well. And the high level risk. You might say that, okay, risk management, we are starting off and the risk register is being developed in the planning stage. Then how come we are going to have high level risk in the project charter? Well, we are only talking about very high level risk, which probably is known only at that point of time, which can be uh, included in the project charter. Similarly, high level milestones, they also will be added. I know that you are going to go into a very granular format and you will be adding more milestones, more detailed view, and so on and so forth in the planning stage when you do the scheduling. But in the initial stage, the project charter will be having the high level milestones. Project charter answers what, who, and why of a project. Absolutely, yes. That is kind of the high level definition of a project charter. It will contain the what, who, and why of a project. Does a PM help to write the project charter? Because we know that the name of the PM is being assigned in the project charter, right? So if officially the PM name is being assigned in the project charter, then how come the PM is working on the project charter? Well, the answer to the question is yes. The PM uh, can help to write the project charter along with his program manager. All right. Which knowledge area cuts across all the 5 process groups? I think we have told this again and again and again. It's very simple. It's not scope, not schedule, not cost. It is integration. Integration is the only knowledge area which cuts across all the 5 process groups, which means initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, controlling, and closing. Which of the below are types of stakeholders? So let's see. Stakeholder type means that if you just recall that SEAM metrics stakeholder engagement model, you will see that a stakeholder from the left hand side start from unaware, then they are resistant, then they are neutral, and then they can be supportive, and then they can be leading as well. So yes, all these 5 are the different types of stakeholders. High power or high interest stakeholders. If you remember that chart, power interest grid, right? So there are different types of stakeholders there. Low power, high interest, high power, high interest, high power, low interest, and so on and so forth, right? So if it's a high power, high interest, which probably can be your sponsor, right? Then these kind of stakeholders should be kept informed, keep satisfied, manage closely, or monitor. I will always say they should be managed closely because they have got high power and high interest. Stakeholder register is developed during initiation stage. I will say yes to that. So that is one of the documents which is being in the development stage when the project is being initiated. And that's again a dynamic kind of a document. You do not just jot down the name of all the stakeholders and never change that. Things might change. Maybe a new person is joining at later stage of the project, or maybe a new add or a delete also happens, like one person is going to exit, or maybe due to some kind of organizational changes in the company, maybe one resource will be unplugged and pushed into something else. So your register of the stakeholder, that definitely is a dynamic document, but that is being developed during the initiation stage. Personality is one of the top reason of conflict during project. Yes, that is the common myth. Okay, it is never. In fact, personality is one of the bottom, the most least reason of conflict during a project. So this is false. What are the top reasons? Find it out. Okay. Uh, Top reasons of conflict is false. Okay. Collaborate is the most effective method of conflict resolution. Absolutely correct. There are many ways to resolve a conflict, which is the duty of a PM. Withdraw and so on and so forth. There are multiple ways, but when you try to collaborate, then that's the most effective way. True. Stakeholder mapping as a grid will help a PM prioritize the efforts for stakeholder engagement. What kind of the mapping is that? Very simple. We just discussed in one of the questions above. That is power interest grid. Okay, how much power and how much interest. Stakeholder register is developed during, I will say, initiation stage. Okay. Triple constraints in a project. Well, so what are they? If you just recall the PM triangle. So we have got scope, cost, and time, the three sides of the triangle. Okay, and they are called the triple constraints. And what lies in the center of the triangle? It's called quality. So the more you increase the cost and the schedule, the quality will also be higher because you are giving more time and more money, right? So you have to make a balance between that because you cannot get infinite time and infinite money. So you have to make the triangle something like a equilateral triangle with equal angles, and that will like balance out the cost and the scope and the schedule. So triple constraints in the project are scope, cost, and time. Okay. Scope baseline is, nice question. Okay, scope baseline is basically your project scope statement plus work breakdown structure plus, always remember this, work breakdown structure dictionary. Some people, they just say the project scope statement plus the WBS. That is not the correct answer, because with WBS, in the ideal world, you also have a WBS dictionary, because there are many terms in the work breakdown structure which may not be understood by all the stakeholders in the program or in the project. So you need to develop something called a glossary or a WBS dictionary, where you showcase, or where you write down all the meanings of all the terms there. And then you say, this is my project scope statement, this is my WBS, the work breakdown structure, and this is the WBS dictionary. These three together will be my scope baseline. Okay. What are the components of project scope statement? Uh, so components of the project scope statements are project scope, of course, deliverables, of course, acceptance criteria, yes, assumptions and constraints as well. So all four of them. Project scope is all the work done by project team to deliver product of the project. Amazing statement. So remember this statement. Okay, this is a very nice one. Project scope is all the work done by the project team to deliver the product of the project. Absolutely true. All the work done by the project is basically your the scope of the entire program or the project. What will help to decompose the project deliverables into smaller component deliverables as work packages? Very simple. What is that? That is called work breakdown structure, your WBS. WBS is basically, so whenever you see this particular keyword called decompose in any of the questions, you know that PMP is actually talking about WBS. Okay. So the more your basics are correct, you will be able to watch out for the key phrases in the questions. So WBS will help to decompose the project deliverables into smaller components, deliverables as the work packages. What are the benefits of WBS? Okay, let's see. Prevents scope creep. Oh yes, of course, right? Because that is the entire scope is the WBS. So if something is not in the WBS, that is not in the scope. So this will prevent scope creep. WBS of one project can be used for future similar project. Yes, if you are going to build a data center, let's say that's your project, and if you have built a complete WBS for that, the entire scope to build a data center, that will be, I mean, that can be used as your baseline or as a guideline to develop the next similar kind of a project. Let's say one more data center with maybe a little bit of variation. Helps PM to identify risks better. Yes, because it's not in the scope. So that can be one of the ways to identify a risk that, okay, I have not planted that in the scope. That can be outside the scope box. So we'll be helping the PM to identify the risk. And saves the cost as well. Because if in your WBS, everything is planted, it is great. If it is not planted, then in the middle of the project, you will see that, okay, one more work package is there. For that, again, I have to get some approval of money from my sponsor. It may lead to more money, more labor, and so on and so forth. But that all can be overcome if you have already got a crystal clear WBS in front of you. WBS dictionary can include descriptions of schedule milestones, acceptance criteria, durations, interdependencies, and other information about work packages. Absolutely true. Okay. The descriptions of the different terms in the WBS, it can be milestone, acceptance criteria, interdependencies, or anything which is there in the work package, which is a little bit key information, you should plant that in the WBS dictionary. The aim is that any lay person, or let's say a person at a very high level, they may not be knowing what is happening in the ground level for the project, right? But if they get hold of your like scope of the project, which is the project scopes like statement plus WBS dictionary, then they will be able to find out each and every element of the WBS very nicely. Which of below are types of dependencies? So you have got mandatory dependency, which is like a must. Then discretionary, which is logical or preferred one. Of course, you have got external and internal as well. Okay. Coding to be completed before testing starts is what type of dependency, which means that it, it tells you like clearly that if you want to start the testing, you have to complete the coding. So coding to be completed before the testing starts. This is a must kind of a dependency. That is a mandatory. Okay. Um, Which one of these is a finish to start activity? Now, finish to start means activity must finish before successor can start. Activity must start before successor can start. Activity must finish before successor can finish. And activity must finish before the successor can finish. Now, you will see that all the four permutation and combination has been given. And if you don't know the answer, you really cannot make a random choice in the exam to score this. You have to know what it is. So be very fluent in the schedule diagrams, in the activities. Okay. So finish to start is a very simple one, which means that activity must finish before the successor can start. Basically, the thing which we spoke here, the coding to be completed before the testing starts is basically a finish to start kind of an activity. Okay. Milestones are not work activities and have no duration. Absolutely true. Milestones are significant pointers in the project timeline, but definitely they don't have a duration of their own. Okay. Um, this is amount of time and activity can be delayed without delaying the project end date. Nice question again. So the amount of time you can stretch an activity. Okay, you can delay a particular activity without delaying the project end date. What is that called? Is it called float or contingency, gold plating or padding? It's called float. Okay. Critical path. Again, you have to know the definition. If you know the definition of project and critical path, again, you will be able to answer at least 4 or 5 questions in the exam easily. So critical path is longest duration or shortest in a path on the project and determine the, again, shortest or longest time it would take to complete the project. Pretty simple like question, but if you don't know the answer, again, you cannot do a guess, kind of a guesswork here. So critical path is the longest duration path. The path is the longest because remember, when you calculate the critical path of the CP, all the durations which you add up for the different path, the highest duration, the largest one will definitely be your critical path. So critical path is the longest duration path in the project and determines the shortest time it could take to complete the project. Okay. Negative float on activity means it is behind schedule. Negative float is behind schedule. Okay. Can there be more than one critical path in a schedule? Absolutely yes. Yes, there can be. How much float does the critical path have? In critical path, remember always the float is 0. You don't have any kind of buffer in the critical path, and that is why it is called the critical path. That is why probably your program manager or your senior manager will keep on asking you, is this item which is on risk is in the critical path? Okay. So critical path, the float is always 0. Schedule compression can be done using which of the techniques? So schedule compression, is it fast tracking, crashing, compressing, or descoping? Always remember, schedule compression can be done only in two ways, and they are fast tracking and crashing. Okay. Uh, Doing activities in parallel instead of series is called. So you want to parallelly do activities which are not having any dependency on each other. Okay. Let us say that you are doing racking, stacking, okay, and also the cabling on the floor is being done. Okay, so these two can be done in parallel. A vendor can do the racking, stacking, and the mounting of the devices in the MDF room or in the IDF room, while maybe the cable integrator is doing the horizontal cabling in the workstation areas. So activities in parallel is called fast tracking. It's one of the ways to compress the schedule of a program instead of waiting for each of them to complete one by one. As of today, what is the estimated value of work actually accomplished? Is which form of value? This is called earned value. Remember, what is the estimated value of work actually accomplished? This is earned value. Okay. So you will notice that a few of the things you have to know the definition or the answer. Without that, you cannot crack. And there are chances in the exam where you will be getting some very simple, uh, straightforward questions where you have to know the definition of that particular concept. So be thorough with the fundamentals. Very like once you are super thorough with the fundamentals, trust me, whatever use case the questions are coming, they also will be pretty simple to you. It's just that you have to practice a lot of mock questions from online to make sure that your speed is there. Cost performance index or CPI value means we are getting USD or the dollar worth work out of every dollar spent. Yes, that's true. Okay, that is true actually. Uh, a positive value of cost variance is good, which means we are under budget. Yes, always. Whenever you see the cost variance or schedule variance, okay, these numbers are in positive. That means it's always good. If it's negative, it's always bad. So cost variance positive means we are under budget. We are not over budget, which means negative. Uh, Schedule variance SV is equal to, again, a direct question, but these kind of questions will not come in the exam. Instead of that, they will throw some arithmetical calculation to you, a mathematical question to you, which is very simple. Once you solve that, you get the complete marks there. So schedule variance is equal to EV minus PV or EV minus AC, because you remember SV and CV, like schedule variance and cost variance, these both are starting with EV. So here the answer is EV minus PV. If it was cost variance, then it would have been EV minus AC. Okay. All right, greater than one is good for both CPI and SPI. So cost performance index and schedule performance index, for both of them, anything positive more than one is good. Absolutely. Which means the program is uh, under budget. Basically, you have not even spent more than the stipulated budget. So the program is under budget and uh, much ahead of the schedule. That is when the CPI and the SPI are greater than 1. If it's 1, that means they are just as per the budget and as per the schedule. Project estimate plus contingency reserve is, this is a very good question. Okay, so here you have to recall how the budget of the project is being calculated. So if you talk about the budget, and if you come from the bottom, like work packages and control account and so on and so forth, um, project estimates where it gets like completed with all the work packages and the control account and so on. After that, if you add a contingency to that, which is called a known unknown, then we are talking about a cost baseline. So project cost baseline is project estimate plus contingency reserve. Now, what if you add management in reserve to this as well, like unknown unknowns? Okay, that number is not shared with the project manager. If you add that, then it becomes the total budget, or rather the cost budget of the project. Okay. Contingency reserve is for known unknowns, which I told you right now, and management reserve is for unknown unknowns. Absolutely true. Okay. And also know this, the contingency in a reserve value is known by the project manager. The management reserve value is not known to the project manager. Resource in a project. Whenever we use the word resource in a project, is it a human resource, a material, or equipment, or supplies? All actually. It can be a human, it can be hardware, software, supplies, anything is a resource. Okay. Um, Project manager responsibilities include which of the following? Let's see what they are. Identify the resources to complete the project. Yes, that's one of the PM responsibility. Build a team, of course, yes. Train and motivate team, yes, that's also there. And lastly, track performance. Yes, all of these are the responsibilities of the PM. Choose the correct team building sequence from below. Tuckman's ladder, right? So this is very simple, but this question I will say comes a lot. Be very much thorough with this team building sequence. Very simple. The first stage is norming. Second stage is, see, they have kind of started all with the forming. So we all know forming, right? But after that, they have kind of jumbled up. So after forming, when the team is formed, then immediately after the formation of the team, what happens? The team members, they storm a bit. They have got some friction, some disagreements. Okay. And after the storm, then they norm, means they stabilize, right? After that, once they stabilize, they start performing. They do the work, right? And finally, when they perform, then they're getting into adjourning. Like once all the work is done, then they get unplugged from the project as and when their work is getting completed. So forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. That is the sequence of the correct team building. Finally, schedule, project priorities, and resource are top reasons for conflict. So the common myth is that personality, but personality is the bottommost reason for conflict. The top three reasons are schedule, project priorities, and resources. These are the top three reasons for conflict. True. So yes, that's all the answers for the 50 questions. I hope you liked it, you enjoyed it. This was nothing like getting a score or something or a pass or fail. It was more like you engage with the questions in a fun way, and you understand the concepts and the definitions well. You go back to your notes or the training videos and you do it once again. So in that way, it will be pretty simple and easy for you to do these questions. Uh, these are the simplest ones, but trust me, they are the important ones, because if you know this very well, it will be easy for you to go for the next steps. If you don't know these, then it will be super difficult for you to crack the further questions. Okay. All right. Thank you for watching this session. Wish you all a great day and a great time. Thank you. Cheers.